Good morning. Good evening, depending where you are. Hello. Yay. Friday, February 13. Tomorrow is San Valentine's Day in United States. I was doing some research about it too. It's very interesting how this tradition started. It's a mix of, sorry, a mix of different cultures and different celebrations over the centuries. Some Roman celebrations and then Catholic celebrations, and we'll see. I don't know if I made some research for some holiday called Groundhog Day, and then I'm doing one for Valentine's Day. And then it's also very interesting to see that many different cultures over the world have their own celebrations for, I don't know, love, but also then they are all connected with the spring and well, some of them, some with the fertility, and I don't know, you'll see later. But anyways, thank you for coming. Ah, yeah, sorry, I forgot. I was saying tomorrow is the Valentine's thing, and then on Monday is the celebration of Lunar New Year. On Tuesday, really, but because it's for Asia mostly, those are the countries that celebrate the New Year with the moon. Um, for us, it's gonna be on Tuesday and Monday. We are producing an event in Dragon's Head in Rimrock, and it's gonna be very cool. I think about 60 people are going to come live, and then we hope many online as well. But we are organizing everything, the venue, decorations, the stage. We're gonna have Chinese food dinner, and the translators are coming from all over the world. That was one of the reasons why Adam cannot come today, because he will start his drive very early in the morning. So he asked me if today I could just do this session, but he's preparing some material to share with us next week. So then I was okay. We can finish the text, or at least keep going with the chichedra, the direct perception of dependence. So, anyways, thank you very much for coming, and to the translators as well. I hope you can join this event um, on Tuesday or Monday, depending where you are. And then, just so you know, just a few days later, we're gonna have Bhagavad Gita 3. That's gonna be very cool as well. If you can try to watch. And if some people, yeah, I can share the posters at the end if you want, if you need the QR codes or whatever. But okay, let's do today the praise on dependence. Is this text that is this commentary really by Master, who wrote it? Now I don't remember. Is is Jetson Kappa wrote the price on dependence? And now I'm trying to remember who wrote the commentary that we are working with. Anyways, it's in the title. I'll know in a moment. But this is the preface that Geshe wrote and shared with us, along with the PPT. I don't know, to me it's interesting. I think it's a great way to study when we do presentations or when we work with the materials and we put it together. It's very nice to try to visualize the ideas that we read in a text. At least to me, it's like a very cool way to study or digest even the content. So even I'm doing the PPTs to share with you, for example, but in a way, it's like it's helping me to understand better by putting the pictures together. Hey, thank you so much. Yes, Lama Quicksilver, Mulcho Dharmabhadra, of course. I was gonna say Master Rendawa, but no, because Master Rendawa was the teacher of Jetson Kappa, and Jetson Kappa wrote it. Okay, awesome. So good to see you all, and thanks for coming. I'm gonna start sharing the screen so we can do a quick review and then go through some new parts of it. I'm gonna change this. Yeah, and also remember, if you have questions, you're welcome to either raise your hand or write them in the chat, questions or comments. And also, I keep saying, whenever you want to introduce yourselves, you can do it. Even if at some point you want to present a topic or something, this is an open stage. It's like, I don't know if you are familiar with open mic. It's like in the United States, it's very common. Some restaurants, bars, or places like that, they have some days when people just sign up their name on the list and they can play a song like or something, yeah, like with the guitar or whatever instrument, and then people take turns to use the stage for like, I don't know, 5 8 minutes, something like that. So this can be also an open mic if you want to present some topics or introduce yourself. That's really great. We have done it in the past. Feel free if you want. You can invite your friends over to see you, your mom or dad. Okay, I'll share my screen. Oh, yeah, okay, beautiful. Okay, so, oh, by the way, I don't know if you're interested in these stories, but I think these pictures and the kind of pictures, if you're familiar with the book, The King of the Dharma, they are all made by an artist called, what is his name? Ori. He lives in New York. And I didn't know, but his mother, it's Nancy Carroll. Nancy Karen. And she was here in Rimbrook a few days ago. She lives in New York. She's one of the very old time students. She starts studying at the same time, around the same time when Geshe starts studying with Ken Rinpoche. Nancy was already studying with them. Even the other day, Geshe told me that Nancy met Ken Rinpoche even before he himself met him. And apparently now she's going to be, she has been for many years involved somehow in the foundation courses and the classes. Now she's going to be involved somehow in the five houses thing. And then I just didn't know. She told me like, oh yeah, it's my son, the one who does all these pictures in the King of the Dharma. So to me, it was very interesting. And she's very, very cool lady. So anyways, this is a picture by his son, Ori. And it's it's so interesting. I forget words in English. It's the portada cover, the cover for these twin guides to the profound, a commentary on Jetson Kappa, praise on dependence. Okay, let's go. The King of the Dharma. In case you're interested, you can follow the QR code. It'll take you to Diamond Cutter Press. You can get it. Amazing, amazing book. Okay, let's go. So the book starts very much, sorry, not the book, the text. We're gonna open the text in a moment, or maybe I should be sharing them both at the same time. One sec. Yeah, okay, here it goes. Okay. So you see, this is the email with the text that Geshe sent. And the text first goes to, yeah, he mentions the King of the Dharma. Then he mentions about these two very important concepts, which is seeing emptiness directly as a means, or the, how say, the crucial point to freedom, and eventually, of course, highest bliss and omniscience, and this ability for us to have rupakayas, which is basically the ability to appear anywhere in the universe, for anyone or everybody really, in order to help them, which is very interesting. In a way, that will mean that they are angels and emanations all over. And sometimes, I mean, I don't recognize. We can be suspicious, and that's a very good, healthy attitude. But it's just interesting to imagine for real, like, wow, there is a possibility that there are enlightened beings appearing all over. And some, we could not notice, not know that there is a divine play of divine beings trying to take us, our progress in our evolution. Who knows? It may be the neighbor, it may be our mom, our dog, our partners, or who knows, the person others us. But the goal, if we're gonna get there, first very amazing step is to see emptiness directly. Now, we talked about, very important idea is to understand very well what emptiness is and what emptiness is not. And Geshe mentioned something along the lines that in this text is very interesting, that Jetson Kappa, in order for us to understand what is emptiness, he first start taking us there by explaining dependence, because they are, traditionally they say there are two sides of a same coin. So it's like, if we have the coin, one side represents emptiness, one side represents dependent origination. Now, this is very interesting because, in a way, one cannot exist without the other. So it's very interesting because emptiness, it's almost to say that emptiness depends on karma. Sure, but it will be more accurate to say that emptiness depends on dependent origination. And dependent origination depends on emptiness, because one could not exist without the other. And the reason I'm hesitate a little bit is because I'm trying to think of examples where one you could have one without the other. I'm thinking about absences. We have studied absences before, but absences, as far as I understand, absences don't come from seeds because absences are negative phenomena. So it's of a lack of a presence. Anything that is present, according to Madhyamika Prasangika, is coming from mental seeds, karma, right? Anything that is like appearing or existing, it's coming from mental seeds. But then what about those things that are not there? And the question that I usually like to ask is, um, when I don't have money, let's say when I don't have enough money, is it because I lack the money? Sorry, I lack the seeds of having money? Or is it because I have the seeds to perceive myself not having money? And actually, I think it's a trick question because we are talking about two different things. One thing is the absence of money, which is an absence. And the other thing is the awareness of me not having enough money. So the awareness of me not having enough money, it's coming from seeds. It has to be, because awareness, it's a positive phenomena. It's something that exists and it's present. But the lack of the object itself, it's a negative. And it's very interesting because somehow emptiness is the same. The direct well, let's do first. Emptiness is an absence or a presence. And if we are familiar with the content, let's say, we hear many times emptiness is an absence. It's a negative phenomena, something that is not there. But then some people say, oh, but then if you're saying that emptiness is not coming from seeds, which in a way is true, because it's an absence, it's a lack, how is it that by planting seeds we can see emptiness directly? Yes, of course. By planting seeds, we can create the experience of seeing emptiness directly. But then there is this important distinction between emptiness and seeing emptiness directly. Because seeing or perceiving emptiness directly is a positive phenomena. It's an awareness, a consciousness thing. The perception itself is positive, but the object it perceives is negative. Maybe I'm doing a very big detour, but I think it's important to think about these things. And anyways, going back to the two sides of the coin, it's almost like you cannot have emptiness if you don't have an object that possesses the emptiness. Because emptiness means the lack of, let's put it this way, the lack of self-existence. or the lack of independent existence. It's like Geshe uses the example of, let's say we have a wall and the wall has emptiness, and the wall is a changing object. So it starts, it rises to its top and then starts, I don't know, I was gonna say dying, but it's a wall, so it starts wearing out, let's say. And then many hundreds of years happen, and the impermanence of the wall, time takes the wall away, and the wall gets destroyed. So that was a changing object that Geshe usually says starts, goes up, rises to its top, and declines and disappears, let's say. But then Geshe say, okay, but the emptiness of this wall, the fact, let's put it this way, the fact that that wall depends on other things in order to exist. And remember that different schools will give different explanations on what is it that the wall depends on. Some school will say, oh, it depends on the materials, and it depends on the people and the person who put all the bricks together, and it depends on the bricks. So it depends on its causes and conditions. Some other schools say yes, but it also depends on its parts. And some schools, yes, but it also depends on its labels. Yes, but it also depends on it, on the mental karmic seeds you have. So like that, different schools build upon it. But some definition that all schools can agree with is emptiness is the absence of a independent nature or independent existence, just to be on the safe zone. So Geshe says that the emptiness of that wall is not something that begins, starts, rises to the top, and dies or finishes, but it's a fact that stays equal over time. And this emptiness, as soon as the wall exists, the emptiness exists with it, its emptiness. And as soon as the wall gets destroyed and stops existing, the emptiness of the wall also disappears with it. So we can say that the emptiness of an object is something that it's unchanging, but it's not permanent. There is also an interesting distinction between those two terms about something being changing and being impermanent versus being unchanging and being permanent. Because permanent, at least in English, gives the connotation that it will exist forever. Even if it's changing. Classical example, the mind. The mind, they say, is permanent because it has existed forever and it will exist forever. The mental stream, they call it Santana in Sanskrit. And it's a cool band of music if you're like that one. Anyways, the mind or the mental stream, which is very similar to the concept of the soul in Western cultures. It's like that thing that it's almost like if something is the most you that you identified with you, it's like almost to say that mental awareness, which changes characters. Like today I'm Juan, but maybe some time ago I was, I don't know, like somebody like this dog or like an elephant mother, who knows, whatever, right? But there supposedly there is some kind of awareness that keeps going, and we can talk about that later, but is that this mental stream of awareness, and it's permanent, but at the same time it's changing. It changes all the time. There is movement, there is, you know. Another example of but something that it's impermanent and changing. Now they say like 99% of things. What can we say? Maybe a tree. A tree is impermanent because at some point it didn't exist, then start existing, start growing, start la la, and then finish and die. So this it was impermanent because it didn't last forever, and at the same time, while it was existing, it was changing. And the classical example, I don't know, for permanent but unchanging. Anybody has an idea of what could be both permanent and unchanging? So we say permanent and changing, classical example, mind, the mind stream. But now what about permanent and unchanging?
Empty space.
Empty space, permanent? Probably, yeah. I think so, yeah. Probably. I was thinking more into, but maybe I'm cheating. Maybe I'm cheating if I say I was thinking on the emptiness of the mind. Because you just have to find an object that is permanent and then talk about its emptiness because its emptiness is unchanging. So I was thinking the emptiness of the mind is permanent because the mind is permanent, and the fact that that object has emptiness is also permanent. But yeah, empty space can be also. I think empty space could be also, unless space didn't exist. But no, I think empty space has to be. Is space permanent? Is empty space permanent? Probably yes. As long as existence exists, yes, because it's almost like it's needed for existence to exist. Okay, yes, great. And what would be an example of something? There is one more combination we are missing. Something impermanent but unchanging. Anybody? Something impermanent but unchanging. Emptiness. Catherine says emptiness. I will say yes, but we'll have to be more specific. Emptiness of what? Because if I say emptiness of the wall, we just talked about it, then it's not impermanent, because as soon as the wall stops, the emptiness of the wall will stop. So we are looking for something. Oh yeah, I don't know. I got confused, but it's important to make this distinction. If we talk about the emptiness of the wall, then we are talking of an emptiness which is unchanging and impermanent. But if we are talking about emptiness of the mind, then it's something that is permanent and unchanging. That's why to me it's always very helpful. Anytime we think about emptiness, emptiness cannot exist without an object that possesses the emptiness. That's why it's two sides of the coin. All this time we were talking about the two sides of the coin. Without the wall, there is no emptiness of the wall. So traditionally, what we say is that the emptiness that we see actually is the emptiness of our own mind. When we see emptiness directly in deep state of meditation, what we see is, well, that's what they say. Sorry, I'm going to add another translator. But yeah, we see the emptiness of our own mind. And also another thing I find helpful is when we talk about emptiness, to have in mind what emptiness means in the sense of, I'm adding one more translator, sorry. Where is it? Okay. I hope it worked. Empty of what? That's a question I like to remember. Empty of what? Because I don't know. I don't see something. Oh yeah, this I can use. Look, this cup, if I say this cup is empty, and then I look and no, it's not empty, it has tea. Oh yeah, you're right. Yes. What I mean is empty of any nature of its own. Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yes, the cup is empty of any nature of its own, but it's not empty of tea. No, because inside there has tea. So is it empty? And you will have to ask yourself, well, empty of what? We are just so used to it. We assume, of course, it's okay. We assume when we say emptiness, but in a way, we can even say that this cup, it has nature, but it's not a nature of its own. And by nature, I mostly mean qualities, right? It's not that the cup is empty of any quality. It's that it's empty of any quality that is not coming from my seeds, depending on how I treat other people in the past. You know, Geshe lately is, I say playing this game of saying that, remember when we are trying to talk about dependence, we are talking about luminous images that come from seeds that we planted by the way we treat other people in the past. And he is encouraging us to remember that whole process. And actually, I'm taking a long time here, but we are going to talk about it today in the PPTs. So I'm going to get over there so we see this part. But yeah, that's the idea. The objects are empty of existing without a luminous image that comes from seeds that we plant by how we treat people in the past. And they are empty of that. But that doesn't mean that they are empty of, I don't know, being good or being delicious or being tasty. Yes, they are, if you add the word by their own side. They are empty of being delicious by their own side. But our karmic seeds are forcing the quality on us as experience. So at the same time, it's correct to say, oh yeah, this tea is sweet. So if you say it's empty of being sweet, yes. And if we are very familiar with it, we understand. But really what it means is they are empty of being sweet independently of my seeds. That's why we can actually say, yes, it is sweet. Yes. Why? Oh, because I have a luminous image making the tea sweet because the seed that I planted by how I treat other people in the past. Catherine raised hand. Is it because you want to share something or
It is
you need?
because I want to say something.
Oh, yes, sure.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
So you said if I didn't add some words to think it's empty or it's exists kind of its own side. So do you mean these words are self-existent, as Aryana Garjuna said?
Wait, can you
So the words can change. The words you want to add existing from its own side, and they can change my understanding. Really,
sorry, can you repeat? I think I know what you say because I'm familiar with that, but
I
I
think you
couldn't
are.
understand right now. Could you repeat, please?
I'm talking about uh, Aryana Garjuna's
Mhm.
opinion, phrase about you have to add from its own side. And do you mean these words can have some self-existent existence to be able to change my perception, to change my understanding? If you add these words, I would understand. If you don't, I wouldn't understand.
Sure. But no, that's not what I mean. I do believe it could be the case that even if I add the words, some people could not understand. And I also believe that without adding the words, some could understand. That's true. That's what I say. We are used to it and we may not need, if we have the context, in the sense, if we have the seats, no need. It's enough just to say, oh yeah, we were saying the cup is empty and we all understand, good. But I guess if we have the seats, it could be helpful to understand that what it means is that it's empty of having qualities that don't come from luminous images, that come from seeds that got planted
Replanted.
by the way, So, but it's true. It's true. We don't need the words itself necessarily because those are empty as well. Yeah, it's a very cool addition to it. I guess it's in a way steps on the ladder because this explanation that I'm giving you, as far as I understand, is very lower middle way, one step before higher middle way, but it helps as a step on the ladder. So it's good to have, and then from there we can jump to higher middle way, which is the position you are, I'll say, proposing with Arya Nagarjuna. So yeah, it's true. And I'll share with you before the time finishes. Oh my God. Okay, super quickly. I'm not gonna stay much here, but yeah, the 4 activities. These I was hoping to keep reminding you and encourage you to find activities like this. So we plant the seeds. 4 activities to succeed, meaning in this case, seeing emptiness directly, seeing dependence directly. We serve people around us, having this daily attitude to help and serve others, our community. Geshe in the text talks about serving the elders. Meditation, very important. Keep practicing. The idea is to build up, start little by little, and build up to 1 hour meditation over a year. You know the technique, 1 extra minute every week. Having our teachers close, learning from them, but also helping them, serving them, helping them with projects, or yeah, very, very powerful, very, very important. And study these ideas very deeply. I saw a very cool quote in Ben Kramer's text from Geshe Wanchuk, and it's very interesting. He said for like the key that opens the understanding of Pramana topics is studying the Dura, which basically is a compendium of collected topics, which is what we are trying to do in these sessions. But it made me feel good that, okay, that's good. He thinks what we are doing is very helpful. Then we talked about the emptiness lineage. We already did that, how it's coming. Lord Buddha, then Arya Nagarjuna, Catherine just mentioned it, Master Chandrakirti commenting upon Arya Nagarjuna. It's very interesting that Master Shantideva is added here because he's a great, great emptiness teacher. Jetson Kappa, Lama Quicksilver with the commentary. And Geshe Michael Roach here. Okay, then here we talked about Chi Chedrak. The mental image, the picture, the archetype in our mind, which is in this case the Chi, and the Chedrak, which is the is like objects in the real world that possess that quality or that are wrapped around this thing. Something interesting about it is if you think about, for example, the label car or the mental picture car, archetype car, it does not necessarily has a color, for example, or a shape or a size, because you can have a small object that you can still identify with car. Oh yeah, that thing has carness. And you see the car is very little, for example, or the car is blue, or the car is black, or the car is red, but still, independently of the color, it possesses the quality of carness. So it's like I think that's why it's called a luminous image, because it's like something that is there, but it's like it doesn't have size or shape necessarily. There are many different kinds of cars, and all these can, there is like something that still makes them eligible to be called car. And you see different colors, different shapes, different things, but still each one of them can be recognized as a car. So Geshe goes into it, and then the relationship between these cheese mental images and words, which is also very interesting, how our mind in one, how say, lower level is how our minds and language gets attached to mental pictures, and as soon as we hear words, it triggers pictures in our minds. Like I say, I don't know, monkey, and then poop, something pops us in your mind. Apple, poop. But in a higher level, it's more that the word, and also in philosophy, word means mental picture, kind of saying almost like it's a very fundamental raw data of reality. And Geshe often likes to mention that in the Bible, some of the opening verses, the Bible is like the holy religious texts of the Christians, well, and Jewish too, but they use the Old Testament and other things. But old Christianity uses the Bible, and many of these books are shared. Parts of the Christian also use parts of the Old Testament, the Jewish Bible. So, anyways, some of the opening lines are, in the beginning was the word. And I think Geshe is trying to say that these mental pictures, archetypes, is what create the whole universe, the whole existence and world. And then this Chedrak is these objects that possess this carnage. So general and specific. But there is another way, is quality. Yeah, quality and characteristic. There are different ways to translate Chedrak. And another one is quality and characteristic. Let's say the quality is the carness, and the characteristic is the object that is characteristic of that quality. Okay, then we get here into the process of how we see dependence for first time. Super famous story, you may all know. Geshe talks about the pot in the stove. He was doing great virtue, service to a great karmic object, which was his teacher. And then he tells the story, he was meditating for a lot. He actually said that that's the time in his life that he was meditating the most and the best. That's what he says. And then he has this experience, right? He was able to see the different parts of the pot kind of separated, acknowledging that he was looking at colors and shapes, and some kind of mental image was putting everything together. This chi of the pot was putting all the parts together and making it a chedrak of the pot. And then he talks about this, how it is like a thing that wraps all around over the, he calls it like the chocolate sauce lately, right? Wrapping around. Bam. Okay. Colors and shapes. The very important idea that these mental pictures are real things, not to believe like, oh no, they are just imagination because it's only mental pictures. But the fact that it is actually the way reality works. So these images are the real thing actually. And that everything is like that, including ourselves. Yeah. Geshe makes big emphasis in the reading that even you, even me, even myself, we are mental pictures. And if we want to change, we can change the mental pictures by changing the luminous images that comes from the seeds that we that come from the way we treat others in the past, and that will change me. Bam. I was like, me? But yeah, apparently me as well. Okay, so this is the thing. You see, there is a seed in our minds, and you see how they like to say the mind is in the heart. And then it opens, and then a luminous image comes. It goes up like this, and it feels like it's coming from our forehead, and a luminous image comes, boom, and then we see the pot. And Geshe in the reading is, and how that seed got there of the pot, boop, boop, boop. He tells a small story. He say, oh, because one day your neighbor came and asked you if you could let him use a pot, and you very happily shared the pot with your neighbor because he was gonna have a party or needed to make some tea, guests. And then by sharing the pot, you planted a seed to be able to see pots in the future, more pots in the future. So question is, when did the first pot appear? Because it's like the chicken and the egg, right? You need an egg to have a chicken, but you need a chicken to have an egg. So it's like you need to share a pot to have a pot, but you need to have a pot in order to be able to share a pot. So which one happened first? And I guess that's another of the reasons that encourage the idea that we have been around since beginningless time. And there is this idea that every object in the universe we have interacted before. I don't know about that. I have questions, but I have here that idea. Even when we are creative, I have here in DCI courses. Well, in some courses, let's not talk about brandings. That even when we are developing new technology or new products, whatever, that part of it is that we remember something we've seen before from other past lives and the like. But anyways, the way we can see pots is by sharing pots that plant seeds in our minds. When they grow, they are ready, they open up, a luminous image comes. To me, this was very interesting and helpful in a way that lately Geshe, and I'm talking about in my world, let's say in the last 2-3 weeks, he has been emphasizing that things is like adding one more step. It's not that the pot is coming directly from the seed, but it's that the seed creates the luminous image and the luminous image projects the pot, for example. So it seems that there is one more step. It's not that, oh, the seed creates the pot. Yes, eventually, but there is a step in between, which is the luminous image. Apparently, Geshe is doing emphasis these days on the luminous image. Okay. So, very important thing. The seed creates this luminous image, and then this luminous image grabs around the raw data, colors and shapes, for example. You see, it grabs around, but the way that we actually experience it is like the object that we can use. So then Geshe was saying, okay, this process, when we go through this process of, we see the mental picture of the pot, we see it putting it all together in the parts of the pot, we have a pot. He said, it's exactly the same. We start wondering, it's exactly the same as the archetype of the car that our mom teaches when we were little. Luminous image, boom, we put the parts together with this luminous image and we have the actual object. And then again, he goes to this idea that everything in the universe is like that. For that, I want to see the text real quick. Let me find, okay. We have made it here. Okay, so before we finish, where are those unifying images coming from? As they float on my head down to the top of this stove. And then we arrive at the astounding realization that these images are sliding out of seeds which are laying there in the back of our mind. These seeds, deep in the back of the mind, are what we call karma. And this is the first time in our life we realize what the word means. At some point in the near or distant past, a neighbor of ours needed a pot, to make some coffee for somebody. They came to our house, they asked us for a pot, and we did it happily. And I have a suspicion that this happily is very important because it may make much more strongest seed, the emotion that we have when we do a seed, right? But anyways, the moment was recorded, the event was planted deep in the back of our subconscious. This is the real meaning of karma, this mental seed. But Geshe wants to use mental seed because sometimes karma has been misinterpreted. So here, this one. As the mental seed breaks in the back of our minds, a luminous image passes through the forehead and then down towards the stove. When we say luminous here, what we mean is that the pot image is giving off some kind of soft glow, almost like a neon, but not necessarily as strong, okay? That's why I use the neon thing. After a little later reflection upon the event of our pot, we will come to the realization that this is some kind of thing. No, this is the same kind of thing as the primordial mental picture of car that our mom helped install in our mind. And we will begin to wonder if indeed there is all that much difference between that picture and the car standing in the driveway right now. Which is to say, and here's the punchline of your lifetime. Ready? All of the objects that ever come to us in our life, including ourselves, are just the same as the pot on the stove. Every single thing around us is a composite of luminous pictures flowing forth from seeds that we planted in our mind earlier when we were either good or bad to other people. Yay. That's good news because that means if we start treating people better today, we will have a better me and a better world tomorrow. You see, so there is hope. We can get motivation to today, do something good extra to improve our world and ourselves. There is no other reality than this one, the one flowing out of how we have treated people around us earlier in our life. If we understand this, it is possible for us in time to liberate ourselves from all the pain, from all death. And if we can do that, we can show others how to do too. Perfect. And this last verse for today. By tradition, one final point about this particular pot on the stove experience, which is called the perception of interdependence. The direct perception of interdependence is called peak experience, meaning is the most important experience we can ever have in our normal life before seeing emptiness directly. So this is the thing. The thing is, yes, we get the seeds by sharing pots through the luminous image process. And then we ask about, everything in the world comes like that. You share the pot, plants the seed opens, luminous image, creates pot. Then you have a pot. You can share a pot and the cycle repeats. But I guess if you stop sharing pots, you cut the cycle and then you won't have pots until, I don't know, maybe, who knows? Many years pass and pass and pass. And one seed that you had forgotten somewhere in your heart opens and then you have a pot again. And then you have the chance to share it and have more pots. Something like that. But let's finish with this. Logically, we need to give some time to consider where the silver color and the circular shape came from. Now we're talking about the raw data, and this is a question that Ola Turchin had a few weeks ago. The only thing that really were down on the stove at the whole time, talking about the raw data from the beginning. This is known as the raw data question, the raw data question. And we can easily understand that this data must have existed in the mind from their own seeds, just before we put the pot together. That is, there is nothing in the entire process which is not flowing from seeds planted in my mind from how I treated others around me earlier. So basically, in order to have a silver pot with a black handle, I mean, if we talk about the pot itself, we need the picture of the pot. We need the chi of the pot, the mental image, in order to interact with the chetrak of the pot. But in order to have that, we also need the seed of silver. We need the seed of black. We need the seed of round shape. We need the seed of long shape. So it's like, first it's like all these individual objects are opening the raw data from seeds like that, boop, 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 and then a bigger picture of pot. Remember, those of you who were here last week when Adam was here, and then I was talking about how the archetype doesn't have a color, for example, talking about car. But then Adam asked, but what about a red car? Because red car can be an archetype too. And instead of talking about carness, we could be talking about red carness. That's a question very interesting. Is red carness, does red carness possess a color? Maybe, because red can be an archetype, and in order to identify red, you need to, the object has to possess red, and red is a color. So maybe there could be cases where some archetypes can have a color. It's like to say, does colors have color? They have to, because if colors they don't have color, then they are not colors. Probably. Anyways, we're gonna keep exploring this thing.
Juan, may add something?
Yes, please.
And if I like, for example, if I love red color, then I can start to give everybody something my favorite color. Or, for example, I will give everybody something red because I enjoy that. Or I can give somebody what they like, their color, their favorite color. Then I will be forced to see red everywhere if I love red, right? So I can plant seeds for red and I can plant seeds for car. There are different seeds, right?
Yeah.
So then that it shouldn't be seeds for red carness.
It
So
should.
it's not the one seed, right?
That's the question. I don't know. Now what I hear about you is you're saying like, okay, you like red. So if you want to see red, what do? Do you go around sharing red with people? Or
For
do you go
example,
around sharing things that other people like with people? That's a very good question, because what's gonna take you faster to the goal? If, as I don't know, let's say if your daughter Arina likes blue and you like red, and you want, it's like the question is subtle, because how do you approach it? Do you want to see, if you think, oh, I want to see the color that I like in my world, so I'm gonna give other people the color that they like in their world, so I can see in my world the color that I like. then you will be giving your daughter blue, and then you will be planting red. Maybe.
If I'm smart enough to do that. I
Sure.
might not. I might just think about, oh, red is so beautiful. I will give everybody red because it's great. I love this color, and everybody must love this color. So I
Yeah.
don't think so far.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes sense. Maybe it's a deeper layer. Probably I will say this. It depends how much you understand about seeds and emptiness. Because probably if you like red so much and without understanding much, you share red to others. Probably you are planting the seed to see more red in your world. What I'm thinking here, it may come to play is your intention. You see how Geshe often say that 90% of the seed is the intention? Because it's like, if now let's put the example. Let's say your daughter doesn't like red, but you like red and you're like, no, I want more red. I'm gonna give her red no matter what. Probably that's not gonna work because I mean it could work at some form, but I think it's going to bring some problems because you are trying to force, as you say, you're trying to force things that you like into others that they don't even like it. So I think that step that you're putting into consideration can be really powerful, to think about the essence of the thing and the motivation. If you're doing it like, oh, it's only because I want to get it, or it's also because I want to make them happy. Do you add that element?
This is the next step. So
Mhm.
first, for example, yes, I don't like red, but if I do like red, then I think it's so great color. That's why I'm giving to you, or to Arena, to everybody red, because I believe it's great. The next step, I realize, oh, Juan doesn't like red. Oh, wow. If he doesn't like red, what she like? And if I realize that Juan likes blue, for example, then I will do the next step. Oh, I will give Juan blue because he loves blue. And maybe then next step, I will think maybe Juan doesn't just love blue, maybe he needs blue cup. Oh, he needs a cup. So I will give him a cup, which is his favorite color. Oh, what shape of the cup he like? And then I can go deeper and uh, give Juan something precise, what he loves and what he needs. And then my motivation is just going further and further. And I'm trying to find what exact Juan wants and needs and what he's looking for. Then I start to find the precise, the special thing which Juan loves. So I will give Juan exactly what he needs and loves. And then I will get everything, the exact thing which I need at the moment when I need. And it would be totally, absolutely fit what I need and what I want and what I love.
I like it very much. To me, it sounds that what you're doing is like this is the way I say it right now. It's like you're becoming how to say, a professional designer, because you're starting to design the seed very deeply and super precise and like focus. And I think it's a very powerful ability and tool. And probably that's part of the difference between when we plant seeds without much training versus when we start planting seeds with more training. The detail can be much deeper, because remember, they say karma, the definition of karma is movement of the mind and what it produces or what it instigates. So all those details that you're putting into the action are adding to the creation of the karma. you are giving it a purpose, a deep understanding. You are focusing on different qualities, on different aspects of the seed. It's going to be something beautiful that the person enjoys, that it also brings them usefulness in their life. And you start designing and then you can load your action with all those qualities and transform it into the equivalent in your own life. And as far as I understand, the more aware we are of all these things, the better and faster the result is going to get. So I think it's great. And I think we should talk about this even more soon in the future. I find it very, very interesting. So it's very, very cool that you brought it up.
Thank you so much, Juan. It's the thing you brought up, and
Great.
a little bit more. And when after that, like a cherry on the top of the cake, we can add dedication. So when I give Juan blue cup, the shape he loves, and I know he needs a cup and he's looking for a cup, and I bringing him this exact cup, then I can dedicate it to me seeing emptiness directly. So I'm giving a cup and I dedicate it to seeing emptiness directly because what I want, and I give Juan what he wants. And to get to this point, I have to first have a deep, deep understanding of emptiness. And this is exact what Juan is doing and Adam are doing just now. They are giving us the exact this cherry on the top of the cake, that deep, deep understanding of emptiness. And we need just to adjust it to our lives, how we can create seeds to do that. Because what we need, we are getting here, the understanding. And then we need to connect it to our life and to use it to dedicate and to reach that point. So, I mean, there are two sides, like intellectual understanding and love. And we bring wisdom and love together, knowledge and love together, and then we can go through this misunderstanding, which is covers us from the reality, ultimate reality. So we are getting here intellectual understanding, and we need to add love. This my point now, a point where I am now.
And what you say also reminds me that Geshe, let's say, when we do rejoicing, we rejoice for both the seed, but also that we are using wisdom to get what we want. And that reminds me to what you say exactly. You can do all this process of designing very strongly the action and the seed you want to plant. And at the same time, because you are using wisdom to get the thing that you want, therefore understanding how reality works, you can dedicate that to see emptiness directly, which is very powerful. Yeah, very amazing. So thank you so much for sharing. I think it is a great opening door for some area of ideas we can keep exploring soon. Thank you. Yeah, I like it. We can explore love and wisdom in our giving, which, by the way, is somehow what it makes it the perfection of giving. Okay, awesome. We can talk more about this. It will be great. And maybe, Catherine, this is great. I was encouraging people to present sometime. I would love if you come and you present a little bit soon, sometime when you can. It can be whatever you want, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But yeah, feel free. We can use space. Maybe we can coordinate in the chat for some soon presentation or something. This is a great topic. Love and wisdom in our seed planting, something like that. Beautiful. So I think for now let's stop. We already went far. So thank you, translators. Sorry for squeezing you. Very, very glad and grateful to have you here. So, yeah. Tomorrow we don't have translation class. Geshe say to vacation because Valentine's Day. And Monday we have the celebration for New Year. I'll send you the posters in the chat. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone. Hope you have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's and happy Lunar New Year. See you soon. Thank you.